Alrighty, Assalamu alaikum. Inshallah, we're going to start soon. Everyone waiting outside and in the basement, they can start making their ways inside.
You have like a non-mic, echoey mic.
I'm going to go inside and turn this down right now.
This happens whenever like the Qari Saabs mess with the mic system. It's like super echoey. It's difficult to give bayan when, when you got the fake reverb effect going on. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله تبارك وتعالى وسلم على سيدنا محمد سيدنا وسندنا وحبيبنا وشفيعنا ومولانا صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه وأزواجه وذرياته وأهل بيته ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين وبعد. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam he mentioned that al-Firdaus. You know al-Firdaus? It's a cognate for a word in English. There's a word in English that's a cognate for al-Firdaus. We have this word in English. Do you know what it is? The word is actually in English as well. Do you know how you say Firdaus in English? It's not a translation, it's cognate. It's actually the same word. Paradise. Paradise, it's the cognate for the word Firdaus. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, Firdaus is the middle of Jannah and the highest part of Jannah. How can it be the middle and the highest part? Meaning, in terms of flat land, it's in the center of it. But it also is the highest part. It's the best part of Jannah. So he says, if you ask Allah Ta'ala for something, ask Him for what? Al-Firdaus. Now a person says, yeah, okay, I'm going to ask for Firdaus. Great. Another person who's a little bit more conscientious, a little bit more sensitive, a little bit more attentive, a little bit more intelligent. They say, subhanAllah, this dunya, Anbiya alayhimus salam came and left. Companions radiallahu anhum came and left. Great scholars, ulama came and left. People who strived in the path of Allah Ta'ala came and left. I have trouble waking up for Fajr. What face will I show in front of Allah Ta'ala in order to ask for Firdaus? People are like, how can I ask for Firdaus? I'm not really that good of a person. Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam still, he said, ask Allah Ta'ala for Firdaus. There's a couple of lessons in here. One of the more profound lessons, which we're largely going to skip. But it's a more important lesson than what we're going to talk about. Is what the idea is that Allah Ta'ala does what He wants in His creation. If He wants to, He can give anyone anything. If He wants to the best of people, He can punish them. If He wants to the worst of people, He can reward them. He Himself chose and He made His choice clear to the creation that whoever dies without iman, without faith, without la ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, then anything good in the hereafter, Jannah or otherwise, it's made haram for that person. But it's also his choice. It could have been a different way if he wanted to make it a different way. And within that, there are a lot of people who will die as a bare minimum Muslim, but are not really, by any other seemingly perceivable metric, good people, so to speak. But you ask Allah Ta'ala, and He gives. Allah Ta'ala, you ask Him for something, and He gives it to you. There's a hadith of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam that every dua you make is going to be answered in one of three ways. Either you'll get what you want and see it in this world, or you'll have a calamity that is equal in magnitude to the thing that you asked for warded off from your head, or you'll have it waiting for you on the Day of Judgment. So in that sense, the only impious person is the one who doesn't ask. This is why the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Ad-du'a'u mukhul ibadah." We have any Arabs here? Arab, mashallah. Right? What does mukh mean? What does mukh mean? Huh? Brain. You Arabi or you Arab? The word mukh in classical Arabic means any bone, the space, the hollow space inside of any bone. So the skull has a large space inside of it, in which the brain happens to be. So in colloquial speech, they'll say, "Hada ma fi mukh," yani this person is like brainless, right? That's what they mean by it. But the point of the literal meaning of mukh is the hollow space inside of a bone. And when the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that the dua is the mukh of ibadah, of worship, he doesn't mean it's the brain of worship. It means it's the core of worship, which is not it's not something that's completely off base, because your salat every raka'ah, someone is reading the Fatiha. What is it? A dua, ihdina sirat al-mustaqim, sirat al-ladhina, right? Your tashahhud, there's a dua in it. The salat and salam on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there's a dua in it. When you're in sajda, it's mustahab to make dua. After the salat and salam on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the tashahhud, it's mustahab to make dua. The fact that you're praying imanan wa ihtisaban, not only you have faith in Allah Ta'ala that He hears your prayers, but you actually have to expect that you're going to get something good out of it. You don't think of it as like, I'm just like doing pious time wasting because Allah Ta'ala told me to. You're actually getting benefit out of it. The same thing is like for Hajj. Anyone here been for Umrah or Hajj before? Don't raise your hand because you're just showing off at this point, right? But you've been there. If you haven't, what are you supposed to do when you're making tawaf? You're supposed to be making dua. What are you supposed to be doing when you make sa'i? Back and forth between Safa and Marwa, and when you stop on Safa, when you stop on Marwa, you make dua. What are you supposed to do the entire day on Arafat? You make dua. What are you supposed to do between stoning Jamarat? You make dua. So why is dua mukhul ibadah? It sounds kind of selfish, right? You're just like asking for stuff. Say, Ya Allah, let me go to Jannah, and Ya Allah, forgive my parents, and Ya Allah, give me money, and give me a PlayStation, and I want to get married to this girl, and I want this, and I want that, or their sisters in the band, I want to marry so-and-so, a handsome and pious young man, or old man, or whatever you want. You ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and He, what are the rules? You can't ask for something haram. You can't ask Allah Ta'ala to take iman away from people, like that type of stuff. But most things, whatever is jaiz, you can ask for it, and it can get seemingly very petty at some point. Someone says, how is this a sign of piety? I'll give you a better question. Someone asked one of our Mashaikh, Maulana Ashraf Ali Thanwi, rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, why do I have to make dua? Allah Ta'ala already knows what I need and what I want. So he gave a really good answer. He was like, the point of your dua is not to inform Allah of your needs. Because indeed, He already knows what you want and He knows what you need better than you do. The point of making dua is what? To show your slavehood to Allah Ta'ala. That He's the master, you're the slave, I am the slave. No one can give you anything except for Him. That's part of it. And part of it is also to abase yourself that I can't do anything for myself, nor can anyone else do something for me. And on the flip side, He can do whatever He wants. So which is a better form of ibadah, to ask for $1 or to ask for $10 the next time you make dua? Which one? Who says $1? Raise your hand. Who says $10? Raise your hand. Why? Allah knows, or Allah has the ability to give you more, so why would you ask for less? So who's more pious than the one who asked for $10? Someone who asked for $1 million. Who's the one more pious than the one who asked for $1 million? Exactly. And then there are certain things, certain blessings that are worth more than money. The more you ask from Allah Ta'ala, the more reward you receive, other than just the dua itself. Why? Because it has to do with what? You're showing your slavehood, and you're showing how great of a master He is. You're trusted that He has the ability to do whatever He wants to. يَفْعَلُ مَا يُرِيدُ. And you trust that His ability is great. You're not like, oh, I want to buy a house in Toronto. No, there's like, He can give you like 10 Torontos, like it, and it doesn't bother Him at all. All of it is equally like similar to nothing. He made the entire heavens and the earth from nothing. إِنَّمَا أَمْرُهُ إِذَا أَرَادَ شَيْئًا أَن يَقُولَ لَهُ كُن فَيَكُونَ. So coming back to the hadith, right? If you ask for something, ask for firdaus. This is one of the many wisdoms of why the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that this is like the best part of Jannah. So don't be weak sauce in your dua. Because the more you ask, the more Allah loves you. If you think somehow He can't give it to me because it's too great for Him to give to me, nothing's too great for Him. Allahu Akbar, He's greater than all other things. One of the wonderful things about making dua is what? We believe this. We believe nothing happens except for because Allah wants it to. Okay? I have something in my pocket. I have the sibha. I throw it up in the air. What makes the sibha fall down on the ground? Wrong. Even more wrong than the Arabs were. Allah. Say it. Allah. Now this is the beauty of Allah Ta'ala. That when He wants something to happen, He'll make it happen in a way that it makes sense. Nothing else makes sense except for that. He'll make it in a beautiful way, right? Someone's like, make a chair for the imam to sit on. So someone like me, lazy guy, he takes like a nail and like plywoods and two 2x4s or four 2x4s and just makes 4 legs and just doesn't paint it and leaves it there. And then a master craftsman makes this, it's bounded by leather and there's buttons on it and it's like studded with metal and like, these like really fancy feet and things like that, right? Look at Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He made every like fish that is in the ocean and bird that flies in the air, every animal that crawls over the land. When He wants to feed you, oxygen and carbon and hydrogen, all of these come for free. Everything is so perfect, it makes sense. The earth goes around the sun fuses hydrogen into helium and it lights up the sky and this happens and that. The whole thing, it all makes sense. But who's doing it? Allah. The fact that He did it in a beautiful way, Inna Allah jamilun yuhibbul jamal. But don't think it's the gravity that's pulling it down. Allah made the gravity, Allah made the tasbih, Allah made up and down, and He commanded it to be like that, and that's how it is. Don't get fooled about that. Understand what that is. Don't think like a kafir. Think like a believer. So the idea is the person who thinks about things, they're like, Firdaus is like really small and there's so many good people, I'm such a little person, I'm this and that. That person, things are big, Allah Ta'ala is then small in their eyes. The person who Allah is great in His eyes, then He asks and asks and asks, and trust me, if you think you're going to exhaust Allah by asking for too much, Allah will give you everything you want, you'll pass out and your tongue will fall out because you're so tired from asking, and He'll still have more to give. It's just you that's limited. And trust me, there are more pious people than you who asked for even better things than you did. And you'll be like, dang, mashallah, they asked for even more than I did. That's what makes them pious, not something else other than that. The beautiful thing is what? You say something with your tongue, or even you think a thought with your heart. There's a stamp of that on your heart then afterward. Which is why when people ask for small things, it's because they're small people before asking, and after asking, they still stay small people. If someone asks for something big, they will receive something big, and Allah Ta'ala will also make their maqam increase. Allah Ta'ala will make the haqiqah, the nur inside of their heart grow. They will become great people from amongst the creation. Obviously, nobody is great in front of Allah Ta'ala, but between the creation, there are ranks. Right? Look, كيف فضلنا بعضهم على بعض وللآخرة أكبر درجات وأكبر تفضيلا. Look how we preferred some of them over others. And indeed, the akhirah is not a magical place. In fact, the ranking, the order, right? Everything happens because of order. There's more mass in the earth than there is in the moon, so the gravity of the earth ostensibly is greater than that of the moon. If something happened to the moon to make it greater than the earth, then the earth will start revolving around the moon rather than the other way around. Actually, it's more complicated than that. There's a burial center in the middle of them that both of them orbit around, but that's not what we're here to talk about. Right? The burial center will become closer to the moon if the moon becomes more massive. Why? Because there's order. Allah Ta'ala is the one who did it, but He decreed everything happens by order. If you think the akhirah is magic, Allah Ta'ala said, so all of a sudden, like, nothing makes sense anymore. It's all just magic, because That's here, everything makes sense, and I have to pay my bills, and I have to make sure that the NDP and the Conservative Party and liberals are happy with me. Every color of the rainbow is happy with me. Whereas on that side, it's going to be magic, it's going to be different, somehow some magic that doesn't, no. It's the same Allah here, it's the same Allah Ta'ala there. And in fact, the hijab will be lifted, you'll see the order of reality even more clearly and even more sharply on that side. And so what will happen, the person who asks for more, not only will they receive more, but the effect of that asking for more is stamped on their heart. By asking for more, you become great people. And this is, I wanted to make this talk not long. I was aiming for 20 minutes and we're 15 minutes into it. So we're getting close to the point of the talk. If there's one point that I want you guys to go home with as a preamble to everything else we're going to talk about in this retreat and in your life for that matter. Don't be small and petty people. How much does it cost you to ask for more? How much does it cost you? What's the cost differential? If you say, okay, this is how much it cost me to make dua for $10, and this is how much it cost me to make dua for $10 billion. No difference whatsoever. And trust me, there are a lot of things that are worth way more than money. If you don't believe that, then please, by all means, keep asking for money. But there are a lot of things. If you ever come to the realization that there are things worth way more than money, ask for those things then preferentially. You ask for money as well if you want. The stamp of what you ask for, it also comes on you and it also dictates what your value is in that system, that ordered system. Both in the dunya and the akhirah, it dictates what your value is. And the only person who chooses what your value is who? Really, it's Allah Ta'ala ultimately, but it's a secret between you and Allah. You're the one who says it, you're the one who makes dua for it, you're the one who aspires to it, you're the one who wants it, and then Allah Ta'ala marks that this is your decree. Someone says, that's nice to talk about Mawlana Sahib, but in reality, I have big dreams and, I wanted to go and become like a heart surgeon in Harvard, but the problem is I couldn't pass geometry class in 9th grade, and so, I made dua for something and it didn't happen. Look, the dunya is the dunya. Allah Ta'ala tests people in different ways, right? But you made dua for it, you're already written from those people amongst Allah Ta'ala until you give up hope and you say, my dua didn't have any effect, then your name is struck from the list. As long as you believe you'll get it on the other side, it's still waiting for you. People will be amazed and astonished on the Day of Judgment. They'll be shown their book of deeds and they'll have all these mountains of good deeds. They'll say, what is this? We didn't even do this. Where is this coming from? They'll be astonished. So these are your du'as that you asked for in the dunya. You didn't know that you were going to see them today? So, oh yeah. I remember some Maulvi Saabs came and they said that, they told me. And then you'll feel better, right, about it. Then what will you be like, damn it, why didn't I ask for more, right? Stupid, I should have asked for? Should I ask for? More. That's not being greedy. That's Allah loves it. Why? The dua is mukhliba. The more you ask for, that means the more you believe that He has the ability to give, the more honor you have for Him. He loves that you ask Him and not anybody else. Again, the point of the dua, the talk is not dua, even though that's a very important point. It may actually even be more important than the point of this talk. But the point of this talk is to highlight this one thing, that your destiny, the only one who chooses what its reality is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is you. If you ask for something big, you may or may not get it in this world, you'll definitely get it in the hereafter. But if you don't ask for something big in this world, I promise you're not going to get it in this world either. Imagine, mashallah, imagine. You married yet? Are you married? No, he's looking around, right? I'm talking to you, son. You married? Yeah. Right? Of course, you're a pious man, dressed in all white on Jummah, mashallah, right? It's beautiful, mashallah, mashallah. Everyone say mashallah, right? So of course, you're a pious man, you don't think about girls because haram and stuff, but like one day you fall in love with a beautiful woman, and that's it. You're gonna you have to either get married to her or you're gonna die, okay? And then I'm like, well, why don't you just go talk to her father, And you're like, no, but what if he says no? What would I tell you? You know what I would tell you? I make dua, of course. You already made a lot of dua, trust me. At this point, you've made so much dua, your eyes like are crying blood right now, okay? I'll say, you made your dua, you made your istikhara, you did all that stuff, you made wudu, you gave sadaqah, you visited Medina, whatever, you did everything, right? And they're like, what if her father says no to me? I'd be like, look, if you go and ask him, he might say no, but he might say yes. If you never ask, then you'll always be at no, right? That's the way it is in the dunya. When you have a great aspiration in this world, you aspire to something great, right? You don't aspire to be like C-team middle school basketball. You say, I want to be in the NBA, right? You try your hardest, you might make it, you might not make it. Only a fraction of a percentage of the people who want to go to the NBA will make it. But I promise you, 100% of people who don't ever try will never make it. So which is the better odds? The long shot chance or the 100% guaranteed failure? The only person who's a loser with Allah Ta'ala in the akhirah is the one who doesn't ask. وَالْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ وَأَبْقَى. It's more intense than this world and it lasts forever. And you're guaranteed a place. The place you ask for over there, you're guaranteed that place unless you voluntarily do something to screw it up afterward. In this world, sadly, part of the test is you don't get like exactly everything you want. But if you don't ask for it, you're guaranteed you won't get it. If you ask and you try your best, then you might get it, you might not get it, and somebody, at the end of the day, somebody gets it, right? The people who are in the NBA are human beings like you and me. The person who's prime minister is a human being like you and me. Maybe has some questionable Halloween costume choices or wears weird socks from time to time, I don't know if you agree or not with this policy. That's up to you. I'm not here to judge. But the idea is what? He's a human being like you're a human being as well. The MPs, they're all human beings. Rich people, they're all human beings. Businessmen, they're all human beings. The one who recites Quran, beautifully from memory without making mistakes. Everybody's human being like you are. Somebody is going to get it. 0% of the people who don't try to do something will ever attain that thing. So please, for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, don't internalize this loser-like state that many people in the ummah, many people in our communities, many people in our own families, many people around us have internalized. You are not here to make money for another corporation unless you want to be. You are not here to be a tax slave for the government unless you want to be. You're not here to be a consumer to provide free data and analytical capabilities to social media companies, unless that's what you want to be, in which case you can do it, no one can stop you. You're not here to be a slave to alcohol and to drugs unless you want to be. You're not here to be a slave to food or women or men unless you want to be. If you want to, you can. There's literally, this is Medina Masjid, you can go down to the temple, there's a blue 8-armed space alien looking dude without a shirt on. You can be the slave of that thing if you really want to. No one's going to stop you. It's totally haram and kufr and stuff, right? But no one will stop you. You can do that if that's what you want. Don't be an idiot and choose what other people, stupid people choose around you if you know better. Firdaus is the center of Jannah and it's the highest part of Jannah. It's the best part of Jannah. If you ask Allah Ta'ala for something, ask for Firdaus. For the sake of the Lord, aim for something higher. Aim for something higher than to be able to afford a single family house in Toronto one day. I know it's hard, but there are bigger things in life our forefathers have achieved. The people of the Ummah of Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam have achieved than that. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, what did he say, right? He talked about that near the end of time, people, the nations of the world will come, gather around you like hungry people, gather around a dish in order to eat. And Allah Ta'ala is going to take out the fear that they used to have of you from their hearts. And He's going to cast into their hearts a type of audacity against you. And He's going to take out the bravery from your hearts and He's going to cast in your hearts a paralyzing fear. And so why is that? Because al-wahan. This is what is wahan? It's the love of the material world and the fear or the hatred of death. Right? Not that you dislike the actual process of dying. Nobody likes the process of actually dying. But the idea is that you live only for this world and you don't find the fact that you'll meet Allah Ta'ala one day and He'll be happy with you as a motivating factor that guides your choices in order to do something better than being a wage slave for a corporation, or in order to be a slave for a shop, or in order to be a slave for a 30-year mortgage on a house, halal as it may be. Do all those things by all means if that's what you need to do. But don't let that be your goal. Because once you slip into that, what's going to end up happening is that the kingship Allah Ta'ala gave to every Muslim, that He describes in His book, Inni ja'ilun fil ardi khalifa, that kingship will be thrown in the garbage away, not by anybody else, by you yourself, by your own hands. And it will be replaced by a type of slavery, which is a horrible slavery. Who is a master better than Allah, who says to you, ask for what you want and I'll give you? And who's a master worse than somebody else who, you work for him and he promises you things and you do even more work than they ask and he gives you even less than he promised, which is always going to be the result of working for the creation. So don't be a loser. This is my brief message. Wa sallallahu ta'ala ala rasulihi sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. 26 minutes. Does anyone have any questions before I take my leave? And our capable Shaykh Mangera, inshallah, continues the more engaging part of tonight's program. Barakallahu fi. Go ahead. The question, if my teacher sends me LGBTQ stuff, what do I do? Look, there are certain things that are even worse than LGBTQ, RSTU, VW, XYZ, ABC 1, 2, 3, right? What's worse than that is that a person would deny Allah and deny His Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Just like with all of that, if someone says something to that's wrong, deny it. If saying something back to them is going to cause you trouble that you're not interested in dealing with at the time, just ignore it. But you don't ever accept it. Because look, the world is going to be filled with crazy things. People are going to do crazy things, right? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, literally his own relatives tried to get him to make sajda in front of weird idols and stuff like that, right? They used to make tawaf of the house of Allah Ta'ala. They used to make tawaf around the Kaaba naked. It's gross, right? They used to do all kind of weird things like that. The Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he's like, yeah, I don't agree with you on these things, and he would just keep going. And he would say what he needed to say when he was in a position to say what he needed to say as well. If you're like in elementary school and you don't feel like you're in a position to argue with your teacher, that's okay. No one expects that from you when you're a child. But also know that this is wrong. And if you have a question about something, come home and ask your parents or ask the imam or the ulama in your masjid about those things, that they said this thing, is it true, is it false, is it whatever, and get some clarification. But you'll hear a lot of things from a lot of people. Imagine a person doesn't even know how to wash their backside after using the bathroom. Imagine if people think that eating a pig is a good idea to do. Imagine people think all sorts of crazy ideas. You cannot accept the crazy ideas of all sorts of people who don't know how to live, even if your elementary school teacher on the flip side may be really good at teaching you how to read or how to do like basic arithmetic or something like that. So the correct things they say, accept it. The incorrect things they say, don't accept it. And what's in the middle that you may be confused about it, make sure to talk about it with somebody, inshallah, that knows what they're talking about, like Mufti Saab and like the other Mulana Saabs in the area, inshallah. Barakallahu feekum. Are there any other questions? Going once, going twice? Barakallahu feekum, inshallah. I'll see you tomorrow bright and early at the workshop at 9 a.m. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
May God forgive you. Students can start heading downstairs for dinner, inshallah.